Well, I guess we can move on to
Okay.
this sort of
I'm
the
curious.
deeper
The
claim that you're
boot. I
making
want the boot.
about why Blair is not responding to Lauren's explicit and implicit claims that trans people are just bad generally,
Yeah.
which is like when you were describing Blair's motives, it seemed to me I don't like what do you think the point of this debate was?
It's a complicated question. I don't think that I have a good grip of what exactly Blair, the motives behind what Blair's doing is. I think she's certainly part of it is a desire to avoid a conversation that's uncomfortable, scary, alienating in this moment.
Sure, but I guess what I'm saying is like in a debate, the point is not to convince the person you're debating against, right? The point is to convince the audience of something. And you
Convince
keep
them of what?
because when if the conversation is about what you think the future of the Republican Party should be, you're trying to convince the Republicans presumably watching to support your side. You're
I
not going to
think
convince. I mean, I don't know about
I
you.
find
I've
this
watched
just
lots of
like
debates. I've never seen anyone change their mind in a live debate ever in my entire life.
sure, me neither, of course.
Right.
But nevertheless, I think that this like just putting the title of the debate up front and saying like I find this to be weaselly. If somebody to you says, I don't think it's okay to be Jewish. I oppose all Jews. You have a responsibility to either push back against that claim, or you are essentially tacitly endorsing its acceptability.
Well,
You're not you're not actually doing anything when the person says the awful thing. That's a
no,
bad thing. It's cowardly.
no. What I'm getting at is that you repeatedly state in the video that Blair's motivation is to suck up or roll over to Lauren and to be
Wait,
like,
say that again. I'm sorry, I missed it.
you repeatedly state in the video that Blair's motivation is to suck up or roll over to Lauren to say,
Do I say
oh,
that's her motivation to
yeah,
suck
you
up?
said, oh, Lauren, am I a good enough conservative?
Yeah, that's what's happening, right?
Okay,
I think that
well,
regardless of her motives, I think that's what's happening.
okay. But the thing is, that's not at all what's happening in the conversation.
Yes, it is.
What's actually happening in the conversation, and what Blair is acutely aware of, and what's surprised to me is that you're not aware of this, is that Blair doesn't give a fuck about convincing Lauren or John anything because she knows that that's waste of time, and she knows it's a waste of time to sort of throw the moral thing and be like, oh, you guys are just horrible bigots. Okay, that's not her motivation. Her motivation is to convince Republicans and conservatives who are watching this conversation to say, hey, look, you can be accepting of trans people and LGBT people in the Republican Conservative Party. And look and see how I'm calm and nice and collected. And over here, we have Lauren screaming like a fucking insane banshee. And guess what? All you have to do is open that video and read the comments, and it worked. Every single comment is basically saying Lauren is a awful person and Blair is amazing. So her strategy completely worked.
I just find this like this is to me like uh, uh, something that I don't think we could ever possibly see eye to eye.
I
Um,
disagree. I disagree, Joel,
well,
because I
Well,
feel
let Joel
yeah,
finish his
yeah,
thought.
sorry. What I mean to say is implicitly ceding the ground that it's not okay to be trans and that it's actually totally fine for people to believe that gay people shouldn't be allowed to be gay in public, and going on after the debate to talk about how John Doyle was okay, he was just religious. These things to me are the absolute height of intellectual cowardice and a refusal to engage with people on ideological terms. And we can dress that up as optics all we want, but it doesn't change anything for me. She went into a situation where people were saying that it's completely unacceptable for gay people to be around, for trans people to be around. She did nothing about it, and she went on to talk about how okay they were. Like, in what universe is this not an embarrassment, consensus with them?
Because she's not. I understand what you're saying. Okay, you're saying I watched this debate, and when Lauren goes off and John too go off in their horrible bigoted tirades, that it upsets me. It upsets me too. I think what Lauren's saying is disgusting,
I agree.
and you want to see Blair fight back and, fight back hard and, blah, 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 blah. I completely understand that. But again,
sorry, go on.
That's not what Blair's trying to do. That's not her motivation.
Right, but
her motivation is not to sit here and to fight back against this person and say the things that maybe you want to hear or that I want to hear. Her motivation is to show people, Republicans and conservatives, that people like Lauren are bad for the party and crazy, and we should get rid of them and instead be accepting of people like Blair. And according to the comments, it completely worked.
I want to illuminate kind of the stakes here, Joel, and just to get your take on this, because the purpose of the debate is like the future of the conservative party. Now, I would like to see the conservative party be pro-LGBT. I don't want to see the conservative party become like the moral majority again, waving their Bibles all over the place. So for me, I know which direction I want the conservative party to go. What is your perspective?
What is my perspective on where the conservative party should go?
Yes.
Where would you like it to
yes.
go?
Anything that would cause them to lose more elections. I don't.
But wait. So then
I don't give. So I'm not giving strategy.
Joel, let me finish here. This is a strange position to be in, because what would cause them to lose more elections, I think, is if they went more in the Bible beater anti-trans direction. Okay, which I don't think would be good for society. But it would definitely probably lose them more elections.
I guess I'll just say this. I really don't have an opinion on where the Conservative Party ought to go. I hope they stop being authoritarian.
Where would you want society to go, though?
I hope that the people who are currently today obsessed with QAnon, hating gay people, thinking that we should live in a Christian theocracy, I hope that they change their mind. And I hope that...
But it seems like the implicit thing that you're saying, though, in this debate is that you don't even want those people to have a seat at the table. You just assume they were kicked out of the Republican Party.
Would I rather people who want us to have a Christian theocracy be kicked out of the Republican Party?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd rather they didn't exist.
Yeah.
Right. So then what Blair's doing in the debate seems to work exactly in that favor.
That's what she's doing. That's the whole point of the debate. To show what crazy people these are and how they shouldn't have a seat at the table.
I do not think that Blair did this at all. I think that Lauren Witzke did 100% of this job for her, to be entirely clear. I don't think that Blair did a particularly great job revealing the sort of nascent bigotry of Lauren Witzke. She literally came out yammering about how gay people are repulsive. I don't.
No, but if Blair had got angry and emotional and fought back and said,
get angry and emotional.
Or got strong or whatever and said, trans people are people. There's nothing.
Disagreed with Lauren Witzke. If she disagreed with them, yes.
If Blair went on a whole thing about how trans people are people and there's nothing wrong with being trans, all these things which presumably everyone who's listening to this debate has heard a million times, and if it hadn't persuaded them already on its face, I don't know why Blair's saying it would persuade them now.
I think that it would have. So I guess I just disagree with this assessment. I think that if Blair had come out and sort of said things that were true and good and moral, it would have been far more meaningful to the audience. I think it would have been a good thing.
Wait, do you think this was on Elijah Schaefer's channel? Who I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's like he's very right wing, very religious. He's like super anti-Antifa. He thinks God told him to expose Antifa and stuff. Okay. So I'm not I don't know how you could say that you think that audience would be receptive to a trans woman saying what they've all, I assume, heard a million times before, which is, trans people are people, we deserve equal rights, yada, 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 which is like on its face. I assume that's like, so obviously that's what the argument is going to be. And if that hasn't already persuaded them, why would Blair saying that persuade them?
I guess broadly speaking, what I'd have to say to this whole sort of argument you're giving here is that you're just kind of agreeing with me in a roundabout way. In order to appeal to a conservative audience, Blair White came on this conservative debate show and kowtowed to bigotry for an hour and a half.
That's not what I said. I said, no, wait, hold on.
Go ahead. You have to.
My position here is that right now you're upset when you watch this video because Blair didn't say the things you wanted her to hear.
It's not that sorry.
You mean
this is
say.
really like myopic way of putting what I wanted. It's not that she didn't say the things that I wanted to hear. It's that she didn't disagree with Lauren Witzke.
Right. She didn't disagree with the things you wanted her to disagree with vocally that Lauren said that were horribly bigoted. Sure. Okay. And that upset you. And I'm saying, I understand that. They upset me too that Lauren was saying this stuff. However, you have to understand that was not the point of the conversation, and presumably that was not Blair's motivation. She's not talking to either of us. We don't really give a shit we don't agree with the Republican, ultra-Christian, moral, conservative nonsense that Lauren and John were talking about. She's talking to people in Elijah Schaffer's audience and other conservatives who are going to be watching this. And for them, all you have to do is look at the comment section and say, Blair's tactic in the conversation 100% worked. So it's silly for us or you to judge her for that and say she did the wrong behavior because she's not doing it for you.
Blair's tactic 100% worked.
Have you seen the comment section under that video?
Sure, I have. I think that what happened was that Lauren Witzke came out looking like an absolute fucking crazy person.
Right.
And that's she would have done that regardless. And I feel like you're again giving Blair a lot of credit that she does not deserve. But
neither of us can read Blair's mind to understand that.
I'm just saying I can. You are the one saying it.
No, well, first of all, that's not true. In your video, you 1,000% mind read Blair like the entire time.
I say something you 100% agree with, that she clearly doesn't want to have a conversation about whether or not the conservative values these two people are espousing are fundamentally good or not.
You say her motivation is to avoid being ostracized from the conservative party. You do say that.
I did not say that. Did I?
Yeah, basically.
I don't remember the exact language you used, but you're constantly going into reading Blair's internal thoughts and ascribing her motivations. And all I'm saying is neither of us can do that. All we can do is look at what happened. And I'm assuming that and maybe I'm wrong for this, but I'm assuming that what happened was the goal that Blair was shooting for. I mean, I've seen her have other debates and other conversations with other people where she's got heated before too. So it's not like this is how she interacts in all conversations. So based on that, I'm assuming this was part of her goal. And it seemed to have worked